recording. Let's go live on Facebook. 3, 2, 1. Wait. There we go. Okay, everybody. Hello, and welcome to our shir. I actually go through every year a practical demonstration on how to kasher for Pesach. I've come dressed appropriately because, of course, the first most important thing, as everybody tells you in any demonstration, safety is the most important thing. But don't worry, I'm not going to put the water on, and I'm not going to actually do much in terms of stuff, because otherwise it can get dangerous. So first thing is, make sure you have the correct equipment, and make sure that you are probably safe for doing what you're doing, protecting you from the water. I have these things that when you're lifting hot pots that you have kashered, I once burnt the floor. So, because, you know, I lift them up like this when you just cast them and then blow them out. You don't want to touch them, of course. So, I did this part right, and then the guy said, okay, just put it down on the floor. But it was like plastic flooring, and you just have to tap on the trees, put it down, and it burned through the plastic floor. So you have to be very careful when you are kashering and make sure that you are safe. Second disclaimer is, although I'm going to tell you about kashering, my advice is not to do any kashering, except maybe for a oven, what do they call it, a self-cleaning oven, which from our point of view is easy, and so on. But my advice to you is not to do any kashering. Not because kashering doesn't work. If you do kashering properly, you do it right, halachically it works. There are many different opinions, what can be kasher, what can't be kasher, how to kasher, what to kasher. That's a different story. We're just going to tell you the main opinions. But my advice is not to do any kashering because A, it's dangerous, as we said, and B, if you don't do it right, you'll end up obviously eating things on crumbs, equipments and stuff. Except, as I said, for a self-cleaning oven, which is very easy. So let's go a little bit, we don't get too carried away with some of the rave, as we call it, and some of the ideas behind it. But we must have a little introduction. Kashering is all logical. It's not magic. It's not some hocus-pocus stuff that we do. It is all logical. In Pashas Matos, when the Jews went to war, David, you can hear me? People can hear me still good? Sherry, you can hear me? Yes? Okay, good. So when they went to war with the Midianites, they came back with all the pots and pans. And Moshe told them, any equipment that was used directly on the fire, you have to purge it in the fire and it becomes pure. Anything that doesn't come in fire, you put it in water. And then it goes on to tell you that you have to take things that are owned by a non-Jew to the mikveh when you put it in. That's a separate thing. So the Torah already tells us that we cannot use pots and pans that have been used for non-kosher without doing something to them. We have to purge out and take out the non-kosher taste, or in our case, the chametz taste from the rest of the year, and take that out. So it's all logical. Because we have an expression, what goes in must come out. Well, in theory anyway. Or how it goes in is how it goes out. So if something, let's say a grill, you put the food directly on the grill. So when it's heating up, the food is getting hot, the grill is getting hot, and the atoms and the molecules, or however you want to understand it, are all fusing very together. Because when you heat something up, it opens. The molecular structure opens a little bit, and all that goes in is the molecular substance of the food that gets stuck in at a very high temperature when you're doing it on a grill, for instance. Therefore, you need to heat it up the same way, directly on fire, which is what we say is a minimum 750 degrees, to get back to that open molecular state, and it will expel all these foreign molecules that are stuck with inside. If you're just boiling something in a pot, the molecular structure doesn't open so much because it's not so hot. It's not directly touching the fire. So it's second-hand. The heat is heating the pot, the pot is heating the water, and then the water was able a little bit to impart its taste in the walls of the pot, and therefore you just need to boil it out again. The same way you boil it and it undoes it. So there are two main ideas. One is called Havdalah, which is what we call purging. It comes from the pasuk in a few weeks' time in the Tochacha, the admonition where Parshas Kosai, God gives us the curses, as people call it, back 49 curses. One of them is, it says, God is going to kick you out of Israel. He's going to kick you out. He's going to expel you. It says, he's going to kick you out. He's going to drive you out. You see, Hagala is an idea of driving out. So when we say the expression, you've all heard this expression, Hagala, it means kicking out. We're expelling the tastes, the particles of, in this case, chametz, that are imparted in the walls. We are kicking it out of the wall. So that's a little bit of conceptual idea of what is it. Some things, let's take a sink. A sink doesn't have any heat source underneath. Doesn't have any source of heat at all. So how on earth do things get into a sink? By pouring. I'm taking my pasta off the stove, my pasta water, I'm pouring it onto my sink. So my sink now is getting from this pouring, when it's moving, it gets hot, it hits the surface, only a very minuscule amount of this water taste, this molecules of the pasta water is able to permeate because there's no heat underneath. It's not that hot anyway because you've taken it off the fire, at least for a few seconds, and now you're pouring it, so when it's mixing with the air, it cools down a little bit, and then it hits the surface, so that's a much less infusion of the molecular structure, and that's why you need to take, I like to tell everybody, if you're going to kasher, you must get yourself one of these. It's an electric kettle, just out of the box. I bought it $15 in Walmart. I have about 3 of these for kashering. I'm doing lots of kashering today. And first of all, it heats it up on its own, right, and plug it into the outlet, and therefore you can do it in 2-3 minutes. And it also has a great spout. If you want to start putting up pots and pans and filling it everywhere, that's a recipe for somebody getting hurt or somebody getting burnt. So if you are planning on doing kashering, I advise use one of these. For a sink, yeah. So those are the basic ideas. If it's gone on the fire, if it's been cooked from underneath, it's been infused, you need to burn it at a high temperature. If it is just been through boiling or through a medium of water or oil, if you fry in a huge deep pat of oil, again, it's a secondary infusion. Even though, let's say, when I'm boiling this water and I'm about to stick my knife into it, right? This water is, let's say, 212 degrees. That's what the water boils at. But it could be that this pot has had food that got up to 300 degrees. Maybe I was frying oil at 300 degrees, 400 degrees. It doesn't matter. Once that's the way of kashering it, even though it's not the same temperature that it got to sometimes when you're cooking, it doesn't matter. You follow the systems and that is fine. So those are the basic ideas. So let's first talk about the Hagala. That's what people actually know when they talk about kashering. They talk about taking the parts, they boil it, and they stick it in water. So the main reason why I tell people not to kasher is A, because we say it's dangerous, but B, the single most important, or 2 most important things you need before you kasher. A, it must be completely clean. And B, you need to wait 24 hours from the last time it was used, certainly with hot foods, in order to kasher it. Why? Because within 24 hours, the taste is very strong, it's very powerful, it's very still stuck there, and therefore if it comes out, it's going to come straight back in again. And so you've lost the point. I've kashered it, woohoo! I've got rid of the non-kosher taste, but it'll come straight back in, very powerful, and therefore you basically not accomplished anything. It's come out, it comes straight back in again. So what's the point of that? After 24 hours, the whole structure is different, it's not the same, therefore if it goes out, it doesn't have the same power, the strength to be able to make it trip. So must be 24 hours without being used. So if you have a sink, no pouring anything into the sink, no hot pasta, nothing, and no turning on the hot faucet. You can use cold water, you can wash your hands for bread, wash your hands whatever, or if a cold something fills in, that's okay, but you can't turn on the hot tap, and you can't pour anything hot down the sink for 24 hours. So, let's say I want to kasher my sink tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Today at 3 o'clock, I have to make sure, right, from now, no more hot food, no more hot, so I have to plan ahead. So that's very important when you're doing kashering. Number 2, what do we kasher in? So the best thing for Pesach is to kasher in a Pesach pot. The best thing to do is in a Pesach pot. If you kasher in a chametz pot that was not used for 24 hours, that was perfectly clean, that is fine. And you don't have to worry, your pots are fine for pesach, no need to worry, especially if you fill it to the top, you can kasher this at the same time, that is fine, it works halachically. However, the Gemara says because it's pesach, the best thing to do is use a pesach pot to kasher. So that's number one. Number two, now Yossi is not here, and I'm glad, because otherwise he'll probably kill me. But, as I told you, the biggest problem is things being clean. I'm going to show you some things. First, I'll show you some stuff in the refrigerator later. We have this area I was kasheing again today, stuff, and we have to tell people it's not clean. When we say clean, the trick is to feel cleanliness with your hands. Of course, you want to see, but you feel. Sometimes you feel and you come up and you find, ooh, whoops, there's loads of schmutzig things on your hands, right? Residue and oil and stuff. Now, we'll just say, I found this pot in the street. Let's keep it that way. You tell me, is this pot clean? Yes. You say yes? What do you say? This is not a test, I just want to see how people... Yeah. You say the bottom is not. Now, for people on here, does this pot, oh, it's hard to tell. Does this pot look clean? You say yes. Well, if you look very carefully, you will see in here, there are raised, if you feel your finger, there are raised bits of dirt. I don't know if you can see it here where my finger is. You'll just have to take my word for it. Let me show the people who are here. Give me a second. See, feel over here. Feel over there. You see raised bits of schmutz. You feel it? Okay. You feel it? Rub it over here. Rub here. You feel it? Yes. You want to have a feel? It's up to you. You feel it? Right, so that's why we say, don't just look with your eyes. You must feel. So this is, yes, this is clean. But when you rub it, it's very clear, right? It's very evident. So this pot cannot be kashered in its current state. Because, forget the bottom of the letter saying all the discoloration and all this stuff, it's not clean. So this would have to be, I bring the steel wool pan here, and you would have to give it a good, right? I would advise anything that can kasher to be put in some sort of a degreaser solution of decent amount of time, and that we'll talk about when we come to this. But that is the single most problem, and that is why I advise people not to bother kashering, because to get things perfectly clean is a big issue. Second issue with this pot, you have a lip. You see it over here. You have a bent over lip where bits of chametz could get stuck. You see? So that is an issue. Can you see everybody on Zoom? There is a lip. So if I was kashering this in a hotel or like we do things, I'm not going to do this now because we say we're not going to stop. I would burn this out because when you burn it, it turns black and it becomes more edible than anything. I could do that with the bits inside, and I have done that many times. Of course, it blackens the pot, and therefore it looks horrible and looks disgusting, but some people prefer that. So, you see how difficult it is to buy things perfectly clean. Now, even these knives, can these knives be kashed? I looked for a knife that can be kashed. Things that have plastic handles cannot be kashed because they're all made of two parts. So I thought I found a knife that was all one piece of metal, and I was all excited, but it's not. Because if you see here, you see the rubber gasket in between the two. Now, if I pass this around, which I'm not going to because it's a knife and I don't want anyone to get injured, but can you see from a distance how dirty that is in the grooves? Yeah. You can see the grooves. Can you see here in the grooves in my terrible camera? Can you see along the corner here? So you see how dirty these little areas of grooves can become. Oh, I was going to get the kitchen. Give me a second. So that is the problem with kashering knives, stuff for pesach. Even something like this. These things really cannot be kashered either, because they have all these, if you can tell, they have all these raised surfaces. So clothes can be stuck all in between these little places. So it's a problem. And some of them are rained out and you have problems inside. You know what I mean? You have like a outside and there's areas here. You see the little indentations inside. Hobbits can get stuck. So that's why betters that have all those flashy things on them, again, cannot be kashered because we cannot clean them, and the water from the Haggalah is not going to get into some of these little tiny spots. So that's why something like this, again, is out of the question. You have to buy yourself a lot. So, let's just assume, we will pretend, that this here is perfectly clean. Okay, this is perfectly clean, and I've not used this for 24 hours. I take my pot, fill it to the top. It's got to be bubbling. It's got to be bubbling the whole time you stick it in. It's not going to say, ooh, it's bubbling, and therefore I can stop now. It's got to be continually bubbling, and it's got to be properly bubbling, not one or two little bubbles that you see. Ooh, yes, I see a couple of them. It's got to be properly bubbling throughout the process. Yes.
It's a pesach pot.
Right. So we're now assuming this is a pesach pot. Yes.
You're not kasheing that pot.
Right. So assuming this is a pesach pot. This is clean, not used for 24 hours. You fill it. Make sure the water is completely bubbling the whole time. We know what proper bubbling is. Now, again, this is where it could get dangerous. So if you have like something like this, or like gloves which are 15 seconds of thermal habits, so you might do kasher like in these gloves, or you could, some people buy welding gloves, or you can use a strainer of some sort. Again, dip it in. Couple of seconds completely in. You can kasher in 2 or 3 or 4 goes. When you take something to the mikveh, you have to do it all in one go. You can't take it in the mikveh half, turn it around the other half, has to be all in one go. But kashering, as long as every part gets the water at some point, it's okay. So let's say I had a massive something in a small pot, and I couldn't fit this all in. So you can do the first half, watch where the water goes, a couple of seconds, then obviously keeping in mind it's going to be very hot and you don't want to injure yourself. Turn it over and then do the second half. So you can kasher in 2 goes or even 3 goes. Sometimes people do it on a slant. Then, if you want to tilt the water so it goes a little bit higher, so you get a little bit more swish, again, safety. If your kashering small drink is I use this. Once the cap is open, it doesn't switch off. It keeps bubbling. It only switches off if this is down. It's a safety feature. So if this is up, it keeps bubbling. So let's say I wanted just to kasher this, I could use this. Yeah, the same thing. You put it in, and then this one could go the whole way in, or if it's something like this, let's say it was kasherable, half, and then the other half. Obviously there's not very big wide opening over here, but that would be acceptable. So that is called haggadah. I will give you another trick. How the best way, easiest way, or the quickest way of kashering a pot is not to boil it in water, it'll take forever, it takes a long time to boil it up, is to heat it upside down on the stove. So the heat is going inside here. And then when you put a pot like this, it'll take about 4 or 5 minutes, maybe even less. The day I did the pot is very thin. And then when you see a piece of paper, I will bring a piece of paper on top. Give me a second. I was going to bring a few with me that I used today. Once the paper stops turning brown, they can't hear me on Zoom. Right? So you turn it upside down. You have a little piece of paper on top. See? Little piece of paper on top. Once this piece of paper turns brown from the heat that's coming through here, you know this is kasher. This will not take very long because it's the quickest way to turn up the oven on highest. That's why I have those, because no way I'm handling these. So once it's done, I will do it like this, flip it over, and roll it away. That's the easiest way. Yeah, if you wanted to do a pot of pesach, perfectly clean again. Remember, that's the hardest part. I will tilt it over inside, heat it up, and so on. Yes?
And you can pots with all metal handles.
Right?
The ones that have like the...
Right, so if they have plastic handles and so on, that's right. Let's go to some of the common things that people can kasher and won't kasher. So, depends how you ask. The CLC tells you that for Micah can be kashered, and the Burma Clan says it cannot, but we say it can. So we're going to kasher countertops. I recommend you cover the countertops. That's the place. I tell everybody not to worry so much about the rest of the house, about checking on the beds, on the sofas, and all these sort of things. But when it comes to the kitchen and the refrigerator, which we'll talk about these 9 days, and I just hurt myself.
And when Steve said, because I looked at the book when you were still down,
right,
and they said that they can kasher plastic.
yes, most people now kasher plastic.
I have a lot of pots that have.
But it doesn't matter because it's got joints, and the food is stuck in the joints, so it doesn't matter.
No, I have a lot of pots that have a handle that's all black.
Yeah, but again, here for this pot, I would burn out the areas. So you've got food, you can even see. You see food stuck in between these grooves. So that's a problem. because now you have real bits of food, so you would have to burn out these grooves. If you turn it upside down on a pot, on the stove, you'll see that if you have a lot of dirt, it leaks out, you'll see it,
Using chemicals.
To clean it? Sure.
Because when you use chemicals, this food different.
Right, but still, even though the food, if it's raised like this, it's going to prevent the water, if you're doing it in water, getting underneath. Same with rust, it's preventing the water having to touch everywhere. So if I've got bits of, even if I've used a chemical so it's not edible, but that piece of sticky gray stuff is going to stop what's underneath touching the water. That's one of the problems with these sort of things. All these raised bits, some of them are out, the water is not going to get inside, and that's why you have a problem. You have to kasher outside and inside. It's got to be both. Outside and inside. So you can't say, well, I'll just kasher like this. No, the whole thing has to go in outside as well. Now let's go through some common things that people do. Kashering a oven that is self-cleaning, that's fine. Why? Because according to most opinions, even if it's dirty, I would clean it out anyway. Turn it on, it gets to 900, 700, 800 degrees, it's living normal, burns everything else, you're fine. So self-cleaning oven is okay to kasher. It's easy. It's not too difficult. You don't have to worry about dirt because it burns it all out. However, a lot of modern day ovens have an aqualith solution, which is I'm not going to it now. It's a technology which is heats it. It's got a glaze and it heats it at 400 degrees and it cleans it. So if you have one, and you must check in the manuals, then after it's clean, because the cleaning will work for the cleanliness part, you'll then have to turn it on at its highest temperature for 2 hours. So let's say 550 for 2 hours. If you have a non-self-cleaning oven, I will not recommend you kasher it for the same reason I'm going to talk about this. Getting your oven clean and the racks clean will probably be a lot of difficult work. In the professional places, they use so much easy off. They take out, they soak it overnight in vats of easy off and all this sort of stuff. And even then, scrubbing it, they get these drills, these drill bits that you put on a drill and it's a clean it, and it's a lot of work. So if you do not have a soaking oven like me, I have a tabletop oven, portable, and one of the advantages of that is that I already started cooking yesterday in my garage. I made like a filter fish, and we made our noodles already because we set it up in the garage, a tabletop oven. But if you have a self-cleaning oven, I will point out, some people, and I'm not telling you to do this because our opinions say the glass gets kashered, but there are some people who say you should cover up the glass with a paper and check around the gaskets of the door because they don't go to 900 degrees, so we'll make sure there's no bits of food in there. But that's extra. Most people say once it's gone through the self-cleaning, you don't have to worry. So that is easy. So that you can do, shouldn't be an issue. Now let's talk about stovetops. Again, stovetops, if you have an electric coil, right, so those coils that you put on, they're raised above the surface, that's great. Turn them on for like 15 minutes, they go red hot, they go to 900 degrees, that's level, you're great, you're good to go. Those are fantastic. You know which ones I mean with the little coils at the raised surface? Great. The problem comes with the glass stovetops, and everybody seems to have it, seems to be, right? So the problem, A, you don't kasher glass, number one. Number two, the areas in between just do not get hot enough. In a raised stovetop, you don't have to worry about the areas in between, because you can't put things in the areas in between, because your stove is raised above everything else. So therefore, you don't have to worry about that. But if you have a stovetop, it's easy, it's smooth, so I can just push this, whoops, now my pot has ended up, in the middle of my gas stovetop. So how does that get kashered? It's very difficult, because it doesn't have its own heat source. The heat is only on the burners. So the burners, depends what you ask. Some people say 20 minutes, some people say 30 minutes, and so on. But usually they say turn each one on. Once it glows, which is usually about 2 minutes a minute, leave it on for 15 minutes. The advice is not to put all 4 on at the same time. For the life of me, I once burnt melted knobs when I was kashering from trees or whatever, because they said it couldn't cope the heat of all 4 on at once. And for the life of me, I don't understand how nowadays they can sell appliances and ovens where they tell you cannot have all burners on at the same time, and because it could crack and break. I don't understand how that seems to be.
It flicks the breaker.
Right, so I don't understand why, I don't understand why that's the big thing nowadays, when it's not very practical to have them all on at once, especially in a nice Jewish home when you have lots of cooking going on. So, there are two ways of doing it, really. One, is that I told you the idea, is to buy an induction plate. That is a plate, got a special induction plate, because otherwise the heat will not go through to the pot and it won't cook. So the induction plate, you put it on the stove top, and then you don't need to kasher the stove top because your stove is never coming into contact with the chametz. The chametz is on the gas, and now you have this plate. So what happens is, the heat goes through the plate to the pot. Now the pot is raised, which means you don't have to worry about your pot sliding off to the middle areas. The same way as you have a regular stove top that's raised with the coils, you also don't have to worry because if you move it to the middle, it's going to fall and spill. That's the easiest and best way. It's going to cost you to buy these induction plates, which you can make sure you buy them. They are the right ones for glass stove tops, otherwise you'll find, whoops, my food was not cooked because the heat didn't go through. Or covering it is not a good idea because it can crack, it can stick, it can cause problems. Or you must make very, very careful that you do not move your pot in the middle. And if on pesach, and if any food falls out of your pots into that middle area on pesach, you don't eat it. Okay, I have a glass stove top, I cover it, and I have a portable stove top. That costs me like $20. It's a portable electric stove top. Sometimes I wish I should have done a gas one. You get these small little ones, I have a little gas thing there that you get for $20 and you turn it on, it works forever, like you're waiting for the water to boil forever. That's why I have to use this to boil water to get it together. Anyway, so I have a portable oven and a portable stove top. But again, if you want to kasher your glass stove top, each burn around 15 minutes. The areas in the middle are treated as not kashered, or you could use an induction plate which raises it off the level of the raises it off the level of the surface, and you don't have to worry about pushing it down. 6. Again, stainless steel as metal can be kashered with pouring water. Now, listen very carefully. It has to be perfectly dry, because if it's wet, the water that's there will cool down this hot water when it touches the cool water, and it will ruin the heat and it won't be hot enough. So therefore the surface has to be completely dry when you're pouring the water, which also means you have to do the base of the thing first. Because if you do the side, what's going to happen to the water? And drip down, it's going to wet the bottom. So the first thing you must do is the bottom. The water must be directly on, you can't just spritz it like this. It has to be poured from a jet of water. Now, you only have about 10 or 12 seconds once this is clicked off till the water cools down. So, do not boil it up here and then walk all the way into there to do my sink, because by the time I get there, my water is not hot enough. The water really has to just be boiling. So really, have the outlet as close as possible to what you're kashering, in safe distance, right? Because as soon as it's ready, as soon as it clicks, and you have to re-click it if you didn't get there every time, as soon as it clicks, then you have a few seconds to go, and you make sure that every area of the base of the sink gets water directly from here. You might have to use 2 or 3 goes. And again, the sides, pour it down, and the sides, and the faucet as well. Why? Let's say I put my nice, beautiful dish of pasta I've just cooked in the sink. Where is that steam rising? Over the faucet. So now the faucet is now this metal faucet with all my beautiful tastes of my chametz pasta on it, right? So the advice is turn it on the hot water, so it's hot coming out, and then pour boiling water over it, so it's boiling water, and that should be hot enough to expel any, in the olden days people used to cover them with those little, people still do, right? They cover them with things and stuff, but that doesn't help the water that's in it, so people would strain the water from before pesach, so therefore, we won't go into that now because those are extra things that we don't want to get into, but that's what I do. Turn on the hot water so it's really hot coming out, pour the boiling water over it. Same with the surface tops, countertops. If it's formica, if it's ceramic, it's a problem, but if it's, what's the word that most people have? Coarse granite. Right, so those can be kashered again. But the biggest problem you have with your countertops is, once again, cleanliness. And I challenge you. I'm sure you all have beautiful homes, so I'm not talking about you guys. But a lot of times, if you rub your hands over your countertops, especially if they're glazed or more fine, so I advise people just to cover their counters. You don't need to kasher them. must clean them because they could have little bits. And then I would advise people to cover them because chametz could be there, and then on Pesach, oh yes, I put my nice pot down, oh, whoops, a bit of chametz has come into my pot, and it could be transported, so you could have a problem. So I advise people, if you want to kasher it, great, but make sure it's perfectly clean. Now, I must talk about refrigerators as well. I mean, bugbear. Again, we'll just pretend I found this in the street, and therefore I found it lying about in the street. Refrigerators do not need kashering. However, of all the places in your entire house, besides for your oven, of course, if you're kashering, that needs attention. I've told people not to worry too much about under the beds and the cupboards and the carpets and the floors and the crumbs. But the most important area that needs a lot of attention and checking, and it definitely needs to be this chametz, is your fridge. Before you leave, you can have a look at some of these fridges, and you'll just see I bought in loads of pesach food, and I scrubbed it quickly, and I fried them all out. But look at this. Okay, I found this in the street lying around, let's say. You see how much real bits of chametz dirt is just lying on this thing. Look at all this. Right, let me see people here. I don't know if you can tell. Right, can you see little bits of chametz here? You have to take my word for it. Yes, all this moving stuff, right? You see it all there? All this chametz here, right? Here and here and here. You see it all. Look at this. A piece of real schmutz. You see it all, right? And see, look at all that. So, if on Pesach you're putting all your Pesach stuff on it, then even though it's not hot, and there's no transfer of taste, there's transfer of gooey nonsense. You could have pieces of crumbs in there, So, I think every year I told me to reclean it, and then I took the stuff home. What I do is I take all my shelves, I put them in my bath, with whatever comfortable solution you're comfortable having in your bathtub. Assuming you have a bathtub, we know a lot of modern houses do not. But anyway, and I soak it in there for a good few hours with a cleaner, and then it comes off very easily, right? What's the expression? You've got to let the tools do the work for you, like you say. If I'm going to start here scrubbing every bit, I could be here a long time, right? So that's right. I know the doors. Rubber gaskets around the fridge, especially if you have a freezer. On top of your refrigerator, you're going to have crumbs in those little gaskets. Those crumbs can end up in your pesach food. So the refrigerator needs a lot of work. You can pay somebody to do it. It's not a thing that a Jew has to do it. But you have to check it. You don't have to check it on the night of B'dikas Chametz. If you want to check it 2 or 3 nights before when you finish. At night, to be done at night, you take your torch and you go through it. But you have to do B'dikas Chametz on your refrigerator and on your freezer. And as you can see from this that I found in the street, it is a very...
The inside, you do B'dikas Chametz?
Yes, inside, and check all the racks. Check even in there. Okay, in fridges that you may find that have glass shells, and that's the problem I had there today, they have a rubber, plastic gasket. So in there, it's where the glass and the gasket meet, is full of chametz. That's where, I like to tape it, so therefore it doesn't hurt me when I take it out. This is also a very important kasheing tool that people have when we do professional kasheing. This is a little knife, and it's all good for scraping out little things like this, you see? Scrape it out. You see how much cleaner that looks now? Let's scrape it out. Well, you get the idea. So again, what I would do, take all the shells out, I would put them in somewhere like a bath. I'll put this back into something. And as I say, I always like to keep this taped up. Otherwise, there's my flashy tape with my name on it. Shove it off, why not? And my hashgacha work, but let me just take this up so I don't injure myself when I put my hand in here and end up like that. That's what I like to do. Right. So very, very important that the refrigerator and the freezer, you pay careful attention. And again, I advise everybody, even after you cleaned it beautifully, to cover it, because we may still have things there. And again, if you have ones like this, then you need to perforate the holes in there. It's on one solid level, so it doesn't matter. So I would, but still, it needs cleaning even with covering. So the refrigerator doesn't need kashering, but it does need cleaning. Very important. Shabbos kettle. If you don't want to buy a new one for Pesach, it needs kashering. Let's say my children on Shabbos, whoops, is getting that low. So we're allowed to take boiling water and put it in a toilet. Cold water, forbidden in HaTorah, because you're now heating up the water, totally forbidden on Shabbos. But you can take hot water. And the best way of doing it is you bring your cholent pot to the water, pour it in. So what's going to happen? The steam of the cholent is going to come up and infuse this area with hummus.
Hot water in on Shabbos? No.
No, yes. You can put boiling water into a cold cholent, yes. But we'll talk about that some other time. So this now can have hummus on it, infused in it, so it needs to be kasher. Fill it up to the very, very top, and turn it on till it boils. And hopefully it will boil, because apparently some Shabbos kettles never actually fully boil. You can have barley, all sorts of things, and it's hummus pots, and its steam comes up and it makes it drift. And again, once it's boiled here, you should agitate it or put it in a stone that comes and kashers the top lip, so the water comes over the edge. I will kasher the top lip, and then I will use something from a distance, because otherwise you'll burn yourself. Open this so the water is coming out at the time, and pour boiling water over. That's why you don't want to do it now, because you'll burn yourself. So stand from a distance and pour it over. Coffee makers. Again, sometimes you may have bits that are kidneys or chametz in coffee makers. You could have a chametz mug that you put under the thing. So it needs kashering. So basically, make sure it's clean it out, pour boiling water to the top, turn it on, and let it run through the system, and that should be enough to kasher it. But, as Ashkenazim, we would need to replace the glass, what do you call it? It's called a flashing name, something or other, carrot, something like that, yeah. So carafe, thank you. So you need to, I don't drink coffee. So you need to, as my wife said, she wouldn't like to see me after I've had coffee. But anyway, so therefore you need to replace the glass. So once you're paying to replace the glass, you might as well have a pesach machine, because it's actually the glass that's the most expensive, unless you have one of these amazing machines. But so the glass needs to be replaced. A microwave, I was going to group it over here. A microwave, the same thing. You take the plate out, because we don't kasher the plate. You must take the plate out before you kasher. Why? Because if I kasher, and then I take the plate out, whoops, now I have all this area that was under where the plate used to be and was not kashered. So therefore, again, the owner says 10 minutes, and then you move the cup to another place in 10 minutes, so that the area where the cup was now going to get kashered. But I did ask that if you use your microwave for more than 20 minutes at times, you should do it for an hour. I'm not sure how you can get a cup boiled in the microwave for an hour, but anyway, we'll do 15 minutes. But, and I was going to bring this to show you, but you won't be able to see it on the computer. If you turn your microwave upside down, or turn the head up, and you'll see there are grates where the microwaves come in. Right, little holes in the ceiling where you will usually see that those are quite dirty. Actual holes, and it's very hard to clean those, and they're usually yellow and stuff. So, again, it's very hard to get a microwave clean. It's not so hard to kasher a microwave, that's easy. Take the plate out, put a pot of water for 10 minutes, let it steam up or whatever. The problem with the microwave is getting it clean. So turn your head upside down and look at the ceiling, and you'll see there's these little holes, and sometimes they're also on the sides. You've seen them? The sides, they have these little windows with holes. Those holes need to be completely clean. So if you can get them clean, then you can kasher it. Have I been up? Again, nowadays most people will kasher plastic, except if the plastic is all rubbed up a little bit.
We have the glass.
Yes, so you need to take it out for pesach.
Take it out, and then pesach, you have to buy a new one. You can cover it with.
Yeah, you could cover it so you can completely surround it with some sort of microwave safe material. You can do that, yes. You can completely cover it, yes.
Because we used to do styrofoam.
Okay, right. You can completely cover it with styrofoam all the way around, yeah. Except maybe the little mold that it fits in that goes around. But if you want to do that, but make sure you get the right material that's not going to explode or damage. So, plastic. The biggest problem with plastic is it gets chipped. Like this, for instance. You see, you cannot kasher this, because now bits of hummus can be in all these little grooves. So let's say a dishwasher. I don't recommend kashering dishwashers. But let's say you wanted to kasher a dishwasher, a plastic dishwasher. Problem is, a lot of the times the wax that you use well, the little lines that you put the plates in between, they will have these type of grooves. And these grooves, if I wanted to kasher this, I would first have to sand this down to get it smooth again. Because there could be little bits of round bits of comments that are stuck. Here, let me show people. You see, the plastic has got chippings, and therefore there could be real bits of food that are really stuck inside. So if I wanted to do something like this, again, I tell people not to kasher. Something like this is very cheap. Cutlery nowadays is very cheap. Even pots and pans are very cheap. My oven, if you're on Facebook, you'll see a picture. 10 years ago I bought it. It was like $30. And I've had 10 years use out of it. It's not expensive, and assuming I have room to store it, of course, which presumably most people do. So my advice to people is, besides for the oven, which if it's self-cleaning is easy, and maybe a stove top again, which certainly burning houses are not good, I would not advise kashering anything. As you've seen, to get things clear is a big challenge. It's not simple, it's not easy, and that is the single most difficult. Once you start getting to frying pans, don't even go there, right? Because getting those clean, you burn them up to 1,000 degrees, and then they're clean and kasher, but if you wait 2 seconds too long, they'll melt, and, so don't get involved with all those things. It's 8 days, and I would advise everybody to, as you see, most of these things are nice, they have all these grooves in these areas, and so on. So my advice to you is, make sure your refrigerators are nice and clean, and then cover them. That's my advice. And the freezer too, right? Line the freezer too, because again, you could around this, you might have had challah in the freezer, cakes, whatever, crumbs, all these little gaskets and areas. The little back, there's a little ridge, right, where the water flows out. You've got to check that. And the same with the dishwasher. If you wanted to kasher, you have to take off all the drain holes and pipes. The rungs, right? There could be, you check your rungs. You'll see, there's little holes that spray out water. You might find little bits of food poking out at you. So those would have to be perfectly clean. So these things are not advisable for those reasons, and it's so hard. And then strainers, forget about it, right? You want to clean a strainer every little time you're home. So I would advise not to go about it. But your sides, where you put food, and your refrigerator, and of course if you're going to kasher your oven self-cleaning, that's fine. Make sure, pay special attention. Those are the areas that really need to be cleaned, checked, and inspected. And in my opinion, not halakhically, but from a good point of view, to be covered as well. Okay, I'm going to sit down. If anybody has any questions? What happened if something left?
If some comments left, yeah.
You're talking about if you find chametz on Pesach. So this is an excellent question, because the Gemara and everybody tells, if you find chametz on Pesach, you must burn it. Right? On Yom Tov you can't burn it, you cover it and you burn it. However, we always like to make things complicated here. But we like to make things complicated in our life. In our sale of the chametz, we have a line that if I have missed big bits of chametz in my house, I have a line to sell those to the non-Jew as well. Which means, if you do find chametz, who does that chametz belong to? The non-Jew. And can you burn some else's stuff? No, it's stealing. So nowadays, practically, if you found big chametz bigger than a kazayas, if it's less than a kazayas like crumbs, we don't sell those. It's a nice sized piece of cake that you found behind your thing. That is included in the sale, just in case, to make sure if anybody forgot. It's included in the sale, but you must cover it because you don't have it. They say, knock it into a cupboard. You're not supposed to pick up chametz on Pesach, so you can't pick it up with your hands. So somehow sweep it and push it into a cupboard or something that you're selling.
Corner and then cover it with a napkin or something?
Yeah, so you don't see it. Because obviously that's the biggest issue that you'll face on Pesach. You don't realize, I did want this. The hot plate. Again, if you manage to get this clean, there are people who say you can kasher it, you turn it on to its highest temperature for an hour, and even now they advise you to cover it, because you never know. But just look, you see how, this stuff. So again, hot plate, okay, they're a little bit more expensive, but still, get a new hot plate for Pesach, because you see how much, how much stuff there is. So cleaning is the single most difficult job. And again, in the words of what I tell my wife, for a few dollars, right? I remember she said she'll make the first year with her. She goes, no, don't buy a mixer. I'll do everything by hand. And I was like, no, I'm not having any of this. For $20, I bought her a nice mixer, small mixer, she was grateful. For $20, you make it easy for yourself. Why, simple, enjoying Yom Tov is also something that we need to worry about. So for $20, you're slaving away, it's just not worth it. Anyway, let me see if anybody have any questions on this. Sherry, have you unmuted yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question that I heard from Rabbi Zevi. Well, this is what I heard this week or last week. I wonder what your opinion is. I heard you should buy, well, of course we do our shopping, of course, before Pesach. The reason you should buy your eggs, if you need eggs during Pesach, you should really buy a lot of eggs before Pesach, because I heard this, you should not buy eggs if you can help it during Passover, because the chickens may have been fed chametz by the time Passover occurs, whereas if you buy it prior to Pesach, they would not have been fed.
So in the OU magazine, it tells you that no longer needs to worry about that nowadays.
Repeat the question.
Okay, so the question was, a lot of people have a custom, and it goes back that for milk and eggs, they purchase them all before Pesach, in case there's any bits of chametz that was eaten by the animals that got into it before Pesach, it can be annulled. And not to buy these things on Pesach, because on Pesach we don't annul any food. However, in the OU magazine it says, if you buy milk or eggs on Pesach, it can be rest assured that it was milked, dried, and processed well before Pesach. We do not get anything now that is milked on Pesach that you will get on Pesach. So it makes no difference, because your milk that you will buy in Publix on the second day Chol HaMoed was milked, who knows how long, but certainly before Pesach, and made meat. What was it you asked me about the eggs? But you get certainly without letting you go to a farm and then buy the eggs that were made right there. Okay, but any of the eggs you're getting in Publix, most of them have probably been on the shelf since before Pesach, certainly in the processing plants. So you're right in theory, but nowadays that's not a concern.
Okay, good. Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
You often run out of them during when you...
Right, eggs, yes, is a big commodity on Pesach, I know, yes. Especially in this country, you have to refrigerate your eggs. In England, we don't refrigerate our eggs. That has something to do with that. So therefore, it's not a problem. You can buy loads of them, pile them up on the sides, and it doesn't matter, But here, you've got to buy a refrigerator, you've got to worry about space. So, yeah. Okay.
What about spiritual cleaning?
Oh, very good. That is something that is definitely important, that when you're cleaning, you're supposed to think to yourself, I'm supposed to be cleaning out my own chametz, my own arrows, my own ideas that are not right, my own things. Definitely one should try and think about that, yes. That's, we'll talk more about that maybe next week and over Pesach. Okay, is that... all right, next week we'll talk a little bit about the Seder. We'll go through the Haggadah, we'll say some tidbits and some things that you can think about and repeat whatever. And we'll try and remember again to send out the email. Anyway, that's enough. Okay, all right. Monday, 8 o'clock, yes. Okay, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.